the city is zobeide. These are stories that were written in response to a reading of Italo Calvino's Invisible Cities, and they were written all at once with no punctuation and no editing, in a kind of breathing rhythm. This is verse number 2. The day we left Trieste, there was a kind of party in the room we lived in. Well, not quite, but a gathering anyway. It was summer, late June, about 3 in the afternoon, when my grandmother asked me to run an errand a few hours before we were to leave forever. As though it was the most natural thing in the world to do, she asked me to go downstairs, round the corner, to buy some aranciata. Aranciata? I asked disbelievingly. I'd never had one of those brightly coloured soft drinks before, except for a small Coca-Cola my father had bought me one evening when the circus came through town. An unforgettable night of chaos, colour and sound. I'd held on to this Coke bottle for dear life, taking swigs from it, but incessantly checking how much was left. Trying not to drink too much, though ecstatically enjoying each small, measured gulp. So now for me to buy an aranciata on this most eventful of days was confusing, to say the least. Why and what exactly were we celebrating? And if we could do this on this strangely melancholy day, hadn't there been better days on which we could have all enjoyed an aranciata? Then she asked me to buy 13 aranciate. 13? I remembered, lugging the heavy string packed with shiny orange bottles through the mid-afternoon summer street, skirting the walls to stay in the shades of the houses. My friends who were distractedly looking out of their second and third floor windows trying to escape the inexorable law of the afternoon nap, on seeing me, suddenly became animated. Look, he's got aranciate. Look how many he's carrying. For me, as the poorest in the neighbourhood, this was a small, late victory, this final triumphal march through the calle della merda, as my grandfather called it, the shit lane, because of the frequent spillage of sewage into the narrow streets from malfunctioning pipes. No matter, I was still proud to carry 13 aranciate San Pellegrino home through it. I remember that the bottles were pear-shaped, and the part that you gripped in order to hold the miraculously refreshing drink up to your mouth was made up of mottled glass, so the hand wouldn't slip on what otherwise might have been a smooth, icy surface. Even as a child, I considered the mottling a very thoughtful design feature. I imagined it was made that way because of how sweaty hands got on hot summer days, or perhaps there were other unimaginable reasons, more to do with the exotic nature of faraway America than Italy, which is after all where the soft drink had come from. As I passed number 15, Calle della Merda, 2 of my friends came out and stood silently in front of me. Domenico, they said. Buon viaggio, Domenico. One of them, Carlo, gave me a ripe peach. The other, Michele, a bow with 1 arrow. I didn't know what to do or say. Grazie, I said in a whisper, grazie. They looked at the bottles longingly. Vuoi una? I said. Do you want one? It was a wonderful feeling to be able to offer them a bottle of aranciata. It was a new feeling for me. No, better not, said Carlo. Michele nodded in agreement. You'd only get into trouble. Your grandmother counts too well. We stood smiling at each other. Ciao, Domenico, they said. Buon viaggio. I carried the ripe peach and the bow and arrow home as they were sacred, and suddenly the transitory nature of aranciata was revealed to me. Even this undreamt of exotic pleasure paled into insignificance compared to the corruptibility of a single ripe peach. I stood at the window of our room in the afternoon light, looking at its wrinkled fur, now translucent with nectar. "Don't you want an aranciata?" asked my uncle. "No thanks," I said, shocked that I could no longer locate the formerly deep desire for aranciata anywhere within me. "Isn't this a beautiful peach, Uncle Attilio?" I asked instead, not for 1 second taking my eyes off its radiance. "Yes, it is." He came over to me and looked out onto the empty summer street below. "You better eat it now," he said. "It's the first of the season, so you can make a wish." I nodded in agreement, though all I could do was look down into our street for the last time. I now suddenly seemed to know this, and also carefully lick the nectar spilling from the palm of my hand. Verse 3. There's a Masonic hall outside Dunkeld in the Western District at the foot of the Grampians. I keep seeing it advertised in the country property ads each Saturday in the Age. I even see it in the Herald Sun one Wednesday. It reads like this: 1 large room, fireplace, pine trees, 5 acres. I call the number the next Saturday morning thinking that because I keep seeing it, it must be some sort of sign that at least maybe it's worth chasing up. A male voice answers, someone older, gruffy, tells me it's sold. The background radio is calling to 2nd Flemington. "Thank you," I reply and hang up. Later, as I step outside in the lane, the air feels cool and grey. Some months after that, me and Helle are driving past the Grampians on the way through to the little desert. As we enter Dunkeld, the Masonic Hall is still on my mind, and there it is, on the left. Pull up on the side of the road, do a U-turn, and park out the front. It's a timber building, double-fronted, and the "for sale" sign is still nailed over the front window. For a while, we look and listen to the wind in the pines. "It would have been nice," I say to Helle as we drive out of town. "Reminds me of a Norwegian house," she replies. I pull up at the petrol station at the edge of town and the lady's friendly, so I ask her about the temple. "Yeah, it sold last week," she confirms. I go in and buy some water, and by the time I get back to the car, she and Helle are talking in Norwegian. "She is Norwegian," Belle replies almost indignantly. I keep my mouth shut for a while. Next day is Saturday. We're in Dimbula. There's a north wind blowing through the town. Everything seems to be shut except for a general store. I go in and buy the Age. We sit outside on white plastic chairs, drinking lukewarm coffee out of plastic cups. I go straight to the country property section, and after a minute I see it. "Masonic Temple for sale," says the ad. "At the foot of the Grampians, price reduced, large room, fireplace, pines, 5 acres. Helle asks, "Anything in there?" I look toward where I imagine the Grampians might be, but there's absolutely nothing there, nothing. There's nothing even on the horizon except a line of far away, mind you, a line of barely visible far away pines. "No," I answer, "nothing in there." We drive into the desert that night and we decide to make a campfire. "Can I use the newspaper for kindling?" asks Helle cheerfully. "Have you finished with it?" she insists after I'm silent for a while. "No, I haven't," I finally reply. "I'd rather you didn't." And after a minute I add, "if you don't mind." If you don't mind. Until we meet tomorrow, 3rd octave. The keynote is me. The first chapter is Hypatia, and the colour is yellow. Until then.